My name is Ryan. I'm a base member and played at UNC undergrad and starting at NYU in the fall. I'll be reading this game. Mike is scorekeeping and managing the live for this game. All right. This will be round 9 of the 2024 PACE NSC. Round 11. Round 11 of the 2024 PACE NSC. Round 11 is sponsored by Fred Moreland, who has the following message. International Quiz Bowl Tournaments wishes everyone the best of luck with your remaining rounds at the NSC. Don't forget to register for next weekend's online NASAT. It should be a great time. Your moderator has Fred Moreland's email address if you have any questions. Okay. Okay, are we picking me up? Okay, I will also try to project since this is a very big room. All right, we're good? Okay, we will begin with toss-up 1. To maintain these devices vacuum states without exacerbating loss at interfaces, they can be sealed with Brewster windows. These devices provide the typical setting for Faraday isolators, which prevent feedback from these devices. Magnets in these devices were used in Wieman and Cornell's cooling techniques for producing the first Bose-Einstein
laser.
That's 20.
Nice.
Nice.
Your bonus. A ceremonial kava drink was consumed during a ceremony mourning the death of this man, the pale descendant of a mountain spirit, for 10 points each. Name this alleged brother of John Frum, who posed with the traditional Nal Nal Club at the request of his Vanuatu and cargo cult devotees residing in Yaohanan. Answer?
Burton.
It's Prince Philip. The Nal Nal Club Philip was photographed with is used to slaughter these unclean animals, which are forbidden in both kosher and halal cuisine.
Pigs.
In Yaonanan, devotees ask Philip to bless bananas and this staple crop, whose harvests are celebrated by the Ashanti and Igbo during annual festivals named for it.
Nice. Yams.
That's last 2 for 20, toss up 2. Profits from one of these businesses allowed Matsu Taro Shoriki to found baseball's Yomiuri Giants. In Europe, these businesses emerged from smaller scale Avisi enterprises. The UK's Minister of Aircraft Production in World War II, Lord Beaverbrook, made his fortune running these businesses. The most successful of these businesses in the US was bought by Punch Sulzberger a year before the landmark Sullivan decision. In 1910,
a newspaper?
For 10.
Nice.
In a novel by this author, a young girl is groomed by Alicia and Madame Alvarez to be a courtesan, but holds out for marriage with Gaston. For 10 points each, name this author of a Gigi. This author of Claudine in School wrote about the relationship between Leah and the younger man Fred, nicknamed Cherie.
Some French dude. What's the other one?
Answer?
Zola.
It's Colette. Colette set Gigi in this city where she and Mathilde de Morny began a riot after they kissed during a pantomime at the Moulin Rouge.
Probably Paris. Paris.
Gigi was adapted for the stage by Anita Luce, best known for this comic novel about the gold digger Lorelei Lee. This novel was adapted into a Marilyn Monroe movie with the song Diamonds Are a Girl's Best Friend.
Men Prefer Blondes, is that what it's called?
Yeah, I think Answer?
Men Prefer Blondes.
Gentlemen Prefer Blondes. So that is 10 from the middle, toss up 3. In Chara algae, 2 bands of this substance rapidly counter-rotate like a barber pole and are separated by a stationary indifference zone. Macromolecular crowding in this substance causes inclusions like stress granules or P-bodies to phase separate from it. The phosphatidylserine-rich inner leaflet is named for this substance. This substance rapidly flows in circular streams in plant cells and is exchanged through their plasmodesmata.
Water.
Nope. After telophase, this substance is partitioned at the cleavage furrow between 2 daughter cells. Pseudopodia are filled with this hydrogel, which is...
Cytosol.
Yep.
Nice.
Is 10 for Bardon, and bonus for St. Mark's. The Hall of 100 Columns in this city has the same dimensions as Athens' Odeon. For 10 points each, identify this ceremonial capital in the Zagros Mountains, home to the Apollina Palace built by Darius I.
Built by Darius? What mountains are they?
Old.
Answer.
That's in Iran.
Tesiphon.
It's Persepolis. Persepolis was the ceremonial capital of this empire founded by Cyrus the Great.
Persia.
The destruction of Persepolis is described in a book with this name by Arian of Nicomedia about Alexander the Great. In another ancient text with this name, the central group cries Thalata, Thalata after spotting the Black Sea from Mount Thechis.
It's about Xenophon's 10,000.
The Persians?
Answer?
The 10,000.
It's Anabasis.
Sorry.
So that is the middle for 10, toss up 4. One of these objects tells a performance piece where a knife was held to the throat of Phyllis Lutjens during a hijack by Chris Burden. Channeling John Cage's pianos, an artist created prepared examples of 13 of these things by altering their voltages and using magnets. They're not neon lights, but hundreds of these objects make up a map of the USA, an electronic superhighway by Namjoon Pike. According to Emily...
Televisions.
Nice.
In parahydrophobicity, rose petals and peach skins exhibit this effect for water even though they're hydrophobic. For 10 points each, name this process by which a surface clings to a liquid. Capillary action combines it with cohesion.
Adhesion.
Surface forests of these nonpolar molecules are also parahydrophobic. These strong conductive allotropes of carbon are classified as having one or more walls.
Is it buckyballs or nanotubes? I think it's nanotubes.
Nanotubes.
Conductive nanotubes.
Water droplets cling to hydrophobic polymers synthesized in this configuration. In this type of polymer, named for the household object it resembles, short chains are densely grafted onto a different, longer backbone or surface.
Chains grafted onto a backbone. What does
Chairs?
that look like? A chair?
Answer?
Chair.
It's a brush polymer.
That's tough.
So that is 20 for the first two, toss up 5. Count Agenor de Gasparin theorized an actinic force powered by the will of this profession's non-native practitioners who sometimes employed Native American guides. Direct voice practitioners of this profession used cardboard and metal trumpets to amplify communications. Practitioners of this profession, like Helen Duncan, regurgitated cheesecloth to feign a certain substance's excretion during events that could feature slate writing or table turning. Members of this profession, like the Fox sisters, medium. That's for 10.
Good bless.
Is Jeffrey? Yeah. One character from this family goes to Shalimar, Virginia to bury his grandfather. For 10 points each, name this family from a Toni Morrison novel that includes Pilate and 1 Corinthians, whom their father named by picking random words from the Bible. Another character from this family gets his nickname when Freddy discovers him being breastfed.
Dead.
Making Dead the third, nicknamed Milkman, is the protagonist of this Morrison novel, which shares its name with an Old Testament book.
Song of Solomon.
Milkman channels his ancestors' legendary ability to do this action at the end of Song of Solomon. At the start of the novel, Robert Smith tries and fails to do this action.
Fly.
Yep, that is 30.
Let's go.
Toss up 6. One of these works is the most common text used in comparative phonetics and describes a contest won when a man takes off his coat. A romance of the author of these works details...
Fables?
That's
Let's go.
Yeah.
Sorry, yes, prompt.
Aesop's Fables.
Yes.
Oh, no.
So that is 20 for Ethan. Rhiannon Giddens' first project as artistic director of this ensemble explores the music of communities displaced by the Transcontinental Railroad. For 10 points each, name this ensemble founded by Yo-Yo Ma, whose members play Eurasian instruments like the Chinese pipa and Armenian duduk.
It's called the Silk Road Ensemble. The Silk Road Ensemble.
Sandeep Das plays a type of this instrument in the Silk Road Ensemble, improvising a rapid section called a rela that is thought to imitate railways. The darbuka, taiko, and tabla are types of this instrument.
Drums. They're just drums.
Giddens most recently gained attention for playing banjo on this singer's single Texas Hold'em from her 2024 country album Cowboy Carter.
Fiance.
That's 30.
Can I have time now?
Sure.
He buzzed in, right? Did you say prompt?
Yeah.
He answered it.
No, he didn't.
No.
I saw Ethan answer both.
Yeah,
He did.
He answered.
Wait, they called it time.
I'm sorry. Thank you.
Can you just check then?
Yeah, it's 120 for St. Mark's and 80 for John's.
we have that.
Keep it up.
Right? Okay. So we will proceed with toss-up 7.
Let's go.
Kwame Geke's The Akan Conceptual Scheme claims that this worldview is the foundation of Akan morality. Kenneth Kaunda embraced this worldview as a national philosophy inspired by Ubuntu. The title of a 1945 lecture compares one philosophy to this worldview to defend it from Marxist and Christian critiques that leads to quietism from despair or excessive individualism. Jean-Paul...
Atheism?
Incorrect. Jean-Paul Sartre coined the maxim that existence precedes essence in a lecture titled for existentialism as this worldview. Italian Renaissance thinkers like Pico della Mirandola embraced this philosophy as a way to improve society through education and decenter religion. For For 10 points, name this philosophy centered on Homo sapiens.
Humanism.
For 10. Bonus for John's Creek. Deposition of mass onto this layer via processes like orogeny induces its namesake flexure by disturbing isostatic equilibrium. For 10 points each, name this layer that contains Earth's crust and upper part of the mantle. This layer's flexibility is due to the fluid-like behavior of the layer below it.
It's like a stenosphere or D-double-N? Stenosphere.
A stenosphere.
It's the lithosphere. Lithospheric flexure can cause a forebulge against which belts named for this action and folding form. This action names reverse faults that arise from décollements and push older rocks above younger rocks.
Slip.
It's thrusting. Fold and thrust belts consist of this general class of rocks contrasted with igneous and metamorphic rocks.
Sedimentaries.
That is 10 for the last part. Toss up 8. A character in this novel watches a woman in a deck chair and looks at a poster of Snoopy typing.
They found a Winter's Night Traveler.
For Kevin. Bonus for John's Creek. The first prompt of the parochial memories asked about this disaster. For 10 points each, in the 1755 natural disaster, during which many people were killed while attending Mass on All Saints' Day. King Joseph the Reformer survived this event.
The Lisbon earthquake.
A statesman who held this title of Pombal led disaster relief efforts in Portugal.
Marquis.
The Marquis of Pombal used Gabriel Malagrita's branding of the earthquake as divine punishment as motivation to implement this policy in 1759. The Esquilache riots were used to justify this policy.
Like expelling Jesuits.
Yeah.
Nice.
That is 30.
Let's go.
Toss up 9. A song by this composer describes how snakes drop from Alecto's head and claims that the title concept shall all your cares beguile. The countertenor Alfred Deller repopularized this composer's song, Music for a While, and his Ode to St. Cecilia. The bass line descends chromatically from G to
Purcell?
That's 20.
Nice.
Bonus. Slouchy hat and long beard are among this figure's various names. For 10 points each, name this deity who appears to heroes in the guise of a mysterious one-eyed wanderer or ferryman of the dead. In another appearance, this deity emerges from a crowd of wedding guests to plunge Garm into a tree.
Garm, so it's probably Odin. Wait, probably Odin, right?
Odin. Let's say Odin.
Sure.
Odin.
Odin is perhaps best known as the all type of this person, referencing his status as the progenitor of the gods and man.
Father.
Oski, another of Odin's names, translates to god of these things. These things are answered by the pearl-like Chintamani or the Kalpavrishka tree.
Answered.
Questions or prayers? Questions.
These are wishes.
That's fine. Come on.
So first 2 for 20, and we have toss up 10, after which we'll have halftime. The Geddes Committee recommended consolidating these places to increase competitiveness. The 1920 Belfast pogrom primarily targeted Catholic workers at these places such as Harlan and Wolf.
Shipyards.
That's
Nice.
This island is jokingly known as Kensington on Sea due to the large number of wealthy British tourists it receives. For 10 points each, name this most populous Ionian island. This island's old fort contains the Spianata Square and once had twin peaks that provided this island's modern name.
Oh, what's the one that blew up and there's a middle thing? The old
Answer.
volcano.
Oh,
Corfu. Many day trips are offered from Corfu to this nearby country. This fastest growing European tourism market contains the resort towns of Saranda and Vlora on its Ionian seacoast.
Albania.
Due to high tourism, the island of Majorca is jokingly called the 17th Bundesland of this country. Lufthansa runs year-round flights between Majorca and this country's city of Frankfurt.
Germany.
That's the last 2 for 20. At the half, I have Johns Creek 190, St. Mark's 160.
It's good. Good job, Barney.
Everyone ready to start the second half?
Yep.
Yeah.
That's good.
Toss up 11. Description acceptable. It's not an anxiety attack, but these fictional events become increasingly erratic after an involuntary one on a bench in Regent's Park. A horror of this.
Remembering?
No. A horror of the spirit during these events arises from a white salt whose initial supply was discovered to have an impurity. These events are evidenced by a swart growth of hair on a man's hands. Hasty Lanyon dies from shock after witnessing one of these events, another of which resulted in Sir Danvers Carew being killed with a cane.
Dr. Jekyll transforming into Mr. Hyde?
That's correct.
Good stuff, dude. Was that 10? All right.
That was 10. In her essay, The Imaginary Orient, Linda Nochlin argues that this artist's intensely detailed paintings of the Near East present Western views of the East as candid observations. For 10 points each, named as French academic painter of the slave market. His painting, The Snake Charmer, is frequently used as the cover for Edward Said's Orientalism.
Jean-Louis Jerome.
Differ.
Jerome.
Later in that essay, Nochlin also describes artists that use the East as a setting to portray sadistic sexual desires, citing this painting, which the title Assyrian King orders his concubines to be killed as his palace burns.
Sycoratic.
The
Sorry?
something of Sicanera. Differ.
It's
The destruction of Sicanera.
It's The Death of Sardanapalus. The Death of Sardanapalus is a painting by this French romantic artist of liberty leading the people.
Was it Delacroix?
Or sure. It's a Delacroix. It's Delacroix.
Yes,
Yeah.
that is first and last for 20, toss up 12. The namesake of this group revived the school of Jarudism while leading the believing youth. During the National Dialogue Conference of 2013, the Southern Movement and this group were denied federal recognition. In 2019, this group used a Kasef-1 UAV to attack the industrial facility of Abqaiq. With supplies from the Quds Force from the port of Hodeidah, this group assassinated Ali Abdullah Saleh shortly after taking Sadah province. A ballistic missile launched by this group was intercepted.
Houthis?
10
Nice. Good buzz.
That's for Ethan. In a play titled For This Emotion, a palm tree and pine grow from the same trunk in the wood of Tenjin. For 10 points each, name this emotion that appears in the titles of two plays set in Amijima and Sonozaki by Chikamatsu Manzemon.
Some Japanese.
Sorrow, maybe.
Sorrow, sure.
Sorrow.
Love. Chikamatsu's love suicide plays are staples of Bunraku drama, which are performed with these objects. Shadow plays manipulate these objects with string against the translucent screen.
Puppets.
Novels like The Man Who Loved Love by Iharo Seikaku exemplify this Edo period genre of Japanese fiction inspired by superfluous life in red light districts. This genre tells a Kazuo Ishiguro novel following Ono's artistic conflicts.
Oh, it's like the Peach thing. That he's in Japan and
Answer?
Dreams.
Floating World. It's the artist of the Floating World is the Ishiguro
never
novel. That is 10 on the middle part, toss up 13.
Let's go.
Okay. Note to players, description acceptable. Ptolemy Hephaestion alleged that this event decided the priesthood of Scamandros' son, Milos. In The Golden Ass, a play about this event depicts its participants accompanied by Fear, Terror, the Dioscuri, and several Cupids. A mortal is chosen by Zeus to award the phrase Te Calliste at
The Judgment of Paris.
That's 20.
Nice. Yeah. Good job.
You're the Ferris. To the Ferris.
In the 1860s, Republican Morton McMichael hired two black cesspool cleaners to appear on these things in an effort to stop the integration of them. For 10 points each, name these things which name a type of suburb exemplified by Bryn Mawr or on Philadelphia's main line and Somerville, Massachusetts.
What are they like the
Levittown?
I think.
Levittown.
These are streetcars or streetcar suburbs.
Didn't know.
David Zucchino's book about the lie of a coup in this city begins, The Killers Came by Streetcar. The 1898 massacre followed the election of a fusionist government in this North Carolina city.
Right.
It's the capital, isn't it?
Answer?
Differ.
Raleigh.
Wilmington. The decline of this city's extensive red car streetcar network is a plot point in Who Framed Roger Rabbit. This city's post-war economy was boosted by studios like Paramount.
It's LA.
Yeah.
LA.
That's last for 10. It's toss up 14. This dynasty was the earliest to create artworks featuring the motif of a beast-like face looking at two dragons. This dynasty's cruel final ruler allegedly tortured prisoners with red-hot copper pillars at his concubine's suggestion. The remains of 16 human sacrifices were found in the tomb of this dynasty's general Fu Hao, located near present-day Anyang. This dynasty's last ruler lost the Battle of Muye.
Shame.
That's 10.
I think Shang was not sorry.
This bias was first shown in a study asking people to rate the sincerity of pro and anti-Fidel Castro speeches. For 10 points each, name this bias where people overestimate how much another person's personality traits, as opposed to situational factors, affect their behavior.
Fundamental attribution error.
A later attribution error showed that subjects given hard trivia questions rated the questioner's level of this trait higher than their own. The Stanford Binet test measures this trait's quotient.
Intelligence.
In a different context, Dutton and Aaron found a misattribution of this state of heightened activity when male subjects were more likely to call a woman after crossing a high bridge.
Arousal.
That's 30.
Nice.
Toss up 15. A character with this profession looks through a candle box at a character he later holds like a drowning man is said to cling to a straw. People with this profession sing the lullaby Man o' War Jack to a character called a Little Cuss by one of them.
Like minors?
That is 20.
Nice. What is that?
It's a poker.
In May
iPad.
2023, the FDA approved the first 2 vaccines against this virus, one made by Pfizer and one by GSK. For 10 points each, the feared triple-demic of winter respiratory infections is caused by influenza, SARS-CoV-2, and what third virus, the most common cause of infant hospitalization in the US.
Is it RSV?
Okay.
Is that called RSV? Sure. RSV.
To protect fetuses against RSV, Pfizer's vaccine was approved for use by mothers who are in the last of these 13-week-long stages of
Trimesters.
pregnancy.
Trimesters? Yeah. Trimesters.
Both vaccines contain a form of RSV's F protein that has undergone this post-translational modification. The endoplasmic reticulum performs this process by attaching mannose or glycnac to proteins.
Like glycosylation.
Differ.
Glycosylation.
That is 30. With 5 to go, I have scored St. Mark's 290, Johns Creek 230.
Let's go. Nice.
All right, toss-up 16. The supply in these markets, denoted H sub t, varies according to the intertemporal substitution hypothesis. Equilibrium prices in these markets may be shifted by a compensating differential depending on the preferences of participants. Mortensen and Pissardes won the 2010 Nobel in Economics for modeling transactions in these markets using search and matching theory. Under perfect competition, the MRPL is equal to the equilibrium price in these markets. Monopsony power
Factor.
No. Monopsony power is exemplified by markets for this factor with only one buyer, as in mining towns. This factor and a factor symbolized K are the usual inputs in a production function. For 10 points, name this factor of production supplied by workers.
Labor.
Okay.
Yeah, can we protest?
You said factor?
Factor market.
Okay. A character in this play questions how he will find a new pair of shoes while describing how puddles turn to molten phosphorus during a raid. For 10 points each, name this Michael Frayn play that opens as Margaret the Boar asks her husband Niels, but why, as he prepares for a meeting with another physicist.
Copenhagen.
Copenhagen features numerous long silences and pauses, sometimes named for this author, who featured several of them in Betrayal and many of his other comedies of menace.
Pinter.
Pinter, yes.
Pinter.
Throughout the play, Bohr is constantly reminded of his son Christian's death in this manner. Gertrude describes Ophelia dying off stage
Drowning.
in this manner in Hamlet.
Drowning.
That's 30. So the score with 4 to go, pending 80 points in protest, is St. Mark's 330, Johns Creek 230.
Let's go.
Toss-up 17. The Unix command mount specifies one of these things as the bind mount of a device. The TMP, one of these things, is a typical use case for the sticky bit flag, which restricts additions to these things. Entries in these things are maps from names to inode numbers. In many command line utilities, the R flag specifies recursion over these things. Values in the environment variable path specify these things. The shell commands cd and
Like a folder.
yep. Directories or folders are both acceptable. So that is 10. Answer the following about items in the collection Berlin's controversial Humboldt Forum for 10 points each. The Forum owns a feather cloak once worn by this monarch that was gifted to Frederick William III of Prussia. This king conquered the Hawaiian Islands in the 1780s.
Kamehameha the Great.
Or Kamehameha the First. A more recent work in the Forum's collection is a structure by Ai Weiwei made from bricks of the pu'er type of this beverage, which is also consumed in namesake Japanese houses.
T.
A Mandu Yenu throne decorated with glass beads and these objects was obtained from Cameroon. The god Eshu made himself a garment from these objects, which are frequently used as currency.
Shells. Shell.
Prompt.
Cowrie shell.
That's 30.
Come on.
Toss up 18. These objects cover the background of a depiction of Anthony of Padua in which he holds a book and wears a jacket with a Black Panther's badge. An artist who used photographic techniques taught by Paul Strand to paint these objects asked Mabel Dodge Lewin to write about them from a feminist perspective. Kahinda Wiley often...
Flowers.
That's 20.
Nice.
Answer the following about words from Italian cooking in science and engineering for 10 points each. A nuclear pasta is thought to reside beneath the surface of these stars. The TOV limit is the upper bound mass of these dense stars that typically form after a core collapse supernovae.
Differ.
Neutron stars.
Lots of go-to statements characterize spaghetti code written in this high-level programming language whose visual variant was once used to write Excel macros.
Is it like Visual JS? What is it called?
You
Differ.
JS.
It's basic or visual basic. Spaghetti diagrams helped optimize the flow of employees in a field of manufacturing described by this adjective. This is the first word in a book on startups by Eric Ries that advocates shipping a minimum viable product.
Shipping a minimum viable product. What is it even asking for?
Answer?
Differ.
Draw.
Technology.
It's lean. Lean manufacturing or the lean
So we're
startup.
up by 10 right?
So that is 10 for the first part,
Yeah,
with
to
2
get
to
the
go
next
at
two.
St. Mark's 360, Johns Creek 270.
I have 280.
That's 2 seconds.
I got 272.
It was 10 on the directories toss up.
Yeah, I know.
So,
Well, this is 10.
alright, we're in agreement?
Yes.
Okay. Toss up 19. In a cartoon, this politician is depicted hauling a block with the help of King Andy, referencing negotiations this politician had with Edward DeSteckel. This politician defeated 3-term incumbent Governor William Marcy in an election.
Adlai Stevenson.
Incorrect. This politician's Republican presidential candidacy was derailed over associations with Thurlow Weed, who had left the anti-Masons with him. This man declared that there was a higher law than the Constitution in a speech opposing the Compromise of 1850. This cabinet member, who was stabbed by Lewis Powell, was panned for a $7.2 million purchase. For 10 points, named the Secretary of State under Abraham Lincoln, who oversaw the purchase of Alaska in his namesake Folly.
Seward.
10. The grand potential equals negative kt times the log of one form of this quantity. For 10 points each, in this quantity there's denoted z from the German for sum over states, because it's computed by summing over all microstates. Dividing weights by this quantity normalizes the Boltzmann distribution.
Is it like the partition function or entropy? Did they say that?
I said partition function.
Answer?
Differ.
Entropy.
Partition function.
Dude, I said
The grand
partition function.
canonical partition function is the sum of values for this scientist's namesake factor. This scientist's free energy equals h minus ts and determines spontaneity.
Gibbs.
This Gibbs.
The Gibbs factor over the grand partition function gives this quantity for a microstate. The wave function times its complex conjugate, it gives this quantity's density.
Probability.
Probably.
Differ.
Probability.
That's first or last two for 20.
Okay. Sorry.
Toss up 20. Solids used as these materials include the garnet LLZO. Ideally, these materials have high transference numbers, wide stability windows, and don't form dendrites at solid interfaces. These substances are rated by a quantity symbolized capital lambda and measured in Siemens meters squared per mole. An ammonium chloride paste acts as this component to separate a carbon rod from the zinc casing in a dry cell. In a device named for these liquids, the mass plated is proportional to current over Faraday's constant. The anode and cathode are dumped in these liquids.
Electrolytes.
That's 10.
So cool.
Answer the following about national dances for 10 points each. A form of this national dance originated as a blend of milonga and traditional Spanish dance at Montevideo San Felipe Academy. Astor Piazzolla made music for this national dance of Argentina.
But that's a tango or salsa? I forget.
Tango.
Okay, tango.
Students of this national dance form of India often perform a capstone orangutan.
Yeah.
Originating from Tamil Nadu, dancers in this style dye their feet red and use hand gestures and create poses similar to Hindu statues.
Bharatanatyam.
This country's national folk dance of Tinikling involves stepping
Philippines.
over and around bamboo poles slammed on the ground. This country's theater genres include Moro Moro.
Differ.
Philippines.
That is 30. The final score I have St. Mark's for 30, Johns Creek 270. Good game, both teams.